Good morning, everybody. John Delarose here, the leading Hispanic voice in science fiction, author of For Steam and Country, which basically got a new release day over the weekend in terms of people checking it out. I appreciate that. You guys are the best. It's been a tough few days. I'm not gonna lie. I've had a lot of slander and libel thrown my way by the haters. A lot of slander and libel thrown my way. But you know what? Here's the difference. The people who do this sort of thing and do the sort of bad talk. You know, I've been posting a lot of some of the mean stuff John Scalzi's been saying. He's a science fiction writer. If you guys aren't familiar with him, used to be like the up and coming. He was going to be the next Heinlein, and then he kind of dropped off in productivity because he's busy attacking people like me. But for every one of those, I'm getting 50 messages just from regular people. And so you got to remember this. I've got a lot of these professional haters who are just very loud and have huge platforms. But on the flip side, I've got real people who are just messaging me with support. They're messaging me with like, I'm getting your book. They're messaging me with, I agree with you politically. Don't stop fighting the fight. I mean, people like that, and that sort of thing. That keeps me going a lot, pretty good. What it comes down to, I don't want to talk about that sort of thing for the rest of my life because what happened last week happened, and as of right now, I'm working on doing some things about it, but there's nothing I can talk about that's any different than there was last week. The people who tried to hate me out of this convention posted nothing. There was nothing I did wrong, and I pointed that out, and the media has it, and that's all we can do. So we can move on now. But I'm really into persuasion topics. I've always been into marketing and persuasion. That's kind of what I really want to talk about because I think it's fun. I think it's useful for you. I think it's useful for me to kind of dialogue with you and kind of figure these things out for what appeals to you and what appeals to me. And so we can grow both in our interactions in life and with each other. But over the last couple weeks, I've been reading Persuasion by Robert Cialdini. He's a clinical psychologist who is very into persuasion and influence and what motivates humans into making decisions and following through with those decisions. It's a very, very interesting topic. And it's something that's very important, I think, for people who write and for people who want, anybody really. In any of your interactions, this sort of thing is useful because, in day-to-day conversation, if you want your best friend to take you to Disneyland and hang out, you have to persuade that person to do so and spend their money to do so. It might just be because you're best friends and you can use the argument that you're close ties. And because of your oneness together as close ties, it gives you a reason for that person to spend money on this vacation and go and do this. But it works it helps for all instances. But I think writing in particular is a very, very interesting thing. Because if you look at books, if you look at my articles or my books, I have to instill a level of trust in you, like as a reader or as a watcher in this instance, right? You have to have a level of trust in me in order to keep watching, keep reading, to believe this is worth your time, right? And so I have to actually layer in elements in my writing especially that make it so you connect with a character, you connect with a setting, you connect with a plot line in order that you have the trust that I will fulfill where that's going and make it interesting and entertaining for you. It's entirely a persuasive topic because think about it. I'm just making up stuff in my head. Any writer, you don't have to do me. Any writer is just making stuff up in their heads. They're just putting it down on paper, and they're telling a reader, trust me, this gets really interesting. This gets even more interesting. It's going to even get even more interesting until finally the story ends and hopefully you come away feeling satisfied, right? That is the entire job of a writer. So studying marketing and persuasion is actually a very, very useful thing, I think, for a writer because there's certain elements that Cialdini goes over. And Persuasion is, if I haven't gushed enough about this book, this really opens up scientific insights into the human mind, where you can see where people make decisions. I kind of, I would say I got red-pilled kind of on this last year. Hello. I got red-pilled on this topic last year, where I figured out a big deal, that humans do not make decisions based on rationality or logic, okay? Ever. And I know this is a tough pill to swallow right here, because it's something where you go, I make this decision or that decision based on logic and blah blah blah. You don't, and I don't. That's the most important thing to realize. Once you kind of come to that conclusion, the whole world and what goes on opens up. There's a reason why everything involving the president can have two distinct narratives that just keep escalating and escalating and escalating. What are my credentials? I'm a science fiction, very popular science fiction author. I wrote for Steam and Country, and multiple award nominations on that front. And I'm also a journalist at The Federalist and Dangerous.com. So, I'm also I also have a business degree from UC Berkeley. So I don't talk about my business stuff very much, but I'm very successful on the business end also. And this writing stuff's kind of for fun for me. Thank you very much. So I'm interested in this topic always. I'm interested in it for every portion of my life. But humans don't make rational decisions. Humans make emotional decisions based on there's like 6 or 8 factors or something like that Cialdini identified in his book. And what happens is they are primed ahead of time. And I'll go over one of them. I want you to buy his book. He's a great guy and great persuader. But basically, like, identity is a big portion of it. And this is why if you look at the political situations, everything's driving towards identity, right? Identity is probably one of the most powerful persuading factors that you could possibly have ever. And so people who want to get into a rational discussion about rational issues, and that camp, while another camp is going for identity, the camp that's going for identity is going to win every single time. It doesn't matter. And unfortunately, a lot of people have not figured this out yet, and they're still going for this, well, we need to show the right way. And if we show the right way, people will rationally see that we are right, and therefore our arguments have merit and logic and reason. And that doesn't work, unfortunately, because people don't make decisions based off of that. So the people who are more in touch with their identity are just going to keep going down that path. Now, the only way to stop it is to stop people from, not to point out there's another way, but to stop people from making their persuasive arguments based on identity. Now, you can't do that. If one side's doing it and you're not, you will lose, and you can't stop them, and you will just keep losing. And so I figured that out early on, and I've tailored different things I do to identity, because that's the way the world works now. That's the way that marketing works and persuasion works. They did a study on this. This is the coolest, wildest study I've ever heard about. Basically, in the 2008 election, they asked a survey about whether somebody was going to vote for John McCain or vote for Barack Obama. Okay, I'm not making a commentary on either one of them. I try to stay out of that sort of thing because, like I said, I don't care about policy or anything like that. I don't want to talk about that. But in one group, they asked the same questions exactly to the people who were taking this survey. John McCain was perceived as less favorable than Barack Obama, just on the surface by, I don't remember the exact points, but it was like 15, 20 points. Now, when the survey, it was a written survey, I'm sorry. When the survey started with an American flag, right? Nothing changed except for they put a big American flag up top, and that's what people saw first, okay? John McCain's standing rose to where the people voted or said they were going to vote for him over Barack Obama in this survey. And more than that, they actually followed up after the election, and the people who were exposed to the American flag actually did vote for John McCain, or said they did, at a far greater rate than Barack Obama, who were exposed to the American flag. And it was exposed to identity. And it was just that little thing about the survey
drastically changed the way that people looked at it. So persuasion elements are there. So in my science fiction writing, I try to get you to connect to a character, for example. And it's interesting. This is just how people work. People can say this is good, bad. I find it neutral in terms of what it is. It just exists, and this is just a truth about humans. People can use it for good. People can use it for bad. People can use it for something that's also neutral. It just is what it is. But in my writing, I attempt to put some key elements of characters that you will connect to them at the beginning. That way, you're more primed to actually read and enjoy the story. So that's how it comes back to my writing at the end of the day. I find it very interesting. I finished this book and I found it phenomenal. Again, it's Persuasion by Robert Cialdini. And hopefully it gives you something to think about. I don't really have any conclusions in terms of what you should do exactly for yourself, but you should pay attention to the elements of human nature in the people that you're attempting to sell your products to, at the very least. So hopefully that was good, and I'll talk to you guys soon.